welcome to Quick Unpick. So I have got my lovely guest Atia from the Bright Blooms joining us. I'm just inviting her now and then we will go. I hope everyone's having a lovely, lovely morning. And there we are. So she should come and join us. Hello, hi. Oh, hi Jen. Hope everyone's well. Are you having a nice morning? Yes. Lovely. Oh, hi Hannah. Hello everyone. Okay, so we'll just wait for Atia, and I was just listening to her podcast while I was waiting as well, so that was really lovely. And yeah, she should be here soon. This is always a little bit interesting. What are you up to this morning? Oh, good morning from Leicester. Hi Jen, yes, you're here live, yes. Amazing. Right, let me see what's going on here. Yeah, so she's been invited. There we go. Let's try that again. Okay. Oh, Daniel wants to know where B is. B is at aircraft. Hi,
Hello.
Atia, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Oh, good
Sorry,
to see
I'm
you.
late. Well,
don't worry at all. This isn't late.
Yeah.
How
are you today?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just excited about having my morning off and doing this and everything. Have you got a place to yourself, or have you got quite a full household today?
Got kind of a busy household. My parents are staying at the moment, but it's it's quite nice because they've not been probably for about nearly 2 years. So
oh, that's
nice
so lovely.
over. Yeah.
Is it a proper reunion then?
Well, we've been to see them in between, but yeah, it's nice because they've not seen lots of things that we've done in the house, so they're like, "Oh wow, this is new," and we're like, "That was ages ago now." So.
Yeah, I saw some old friends yesterday, and we had a whole conversation about the last 2 years because we were so behind on each other. It's crazy how kind of, you know, we've all been a bit of a time warp, really, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think it's really noticeable if you have young children. So like with your you've got a daughter, haven't you?
Yeah.
And it's really noticeable when you suddenly see someone and their children have completely gone from being babies to like being like proper children. So
yeah, that's exactly what happened.
My sister's got a 2-year-old now, and it feels like he's suddenly just become 2 without us even noticing. So.
And how old are your kids?
They're 13, 9, and 6. So we're all a bit older now. Yeah.
Well, I have to just first of all say your World Book Day costume, the Alice in Wonderland, was so beautiful.
Oh,
well done.
Yeah, that's what basically I bought that fabric when the collection first came out. So I bought that, I bought the canvas, and I bought the fat quarter set, and all of it has just been like just waiting for me to do something with it. And every so often I'll be like, oh, I really should do something. And I plan to make Nora a dress with that all along. But I think sometimes like things get made at the right time as well. So
definitely,
she's just read the book and she understands the story more and things. So I think it's better now that she's got it. And I just about had enough material to make the dress as well. So I actually had to cut the back panels a bit narrower just to be able to fit it in. But there's basically like a handful of scraps left, and that was all that was left. So it was really just about right. Yeah.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really lovely though, isn't it, when you get out exactly what you want. And I've definitely kind of taken off like the odd little centimetre to try and make it fit.
Actually it doesn't really matter too much. If you've got gathers, sometimes you don't have to, because I always used to think same with like recipes, and like, oh, I don't have that exact thing, that means I can't make it. But actually there's always a little bit of room to kind of play around with things. Sewing. So like I cut the under collar on the cross grain to be able to fit it in, because you know there's just little tricks that you pick up afterwards, whereas before I'd be like, oh, I can't do it because I can't fit it on the on the normal selvage edge.
Yeah, it comes with experience, doesn't it? And like when you get to know your craft, you're like, I can cut a corner here and I can do this because I know already that last time I used a slightly bigger seam allowance or whatever. And it's definitely the same with cooking. I'm still the kind of person that's like, I don't have that, I can't cook
it. Yeah, it'd be like the exact type of cinnamon. I remember one time I wanted to make cinnamon buns, and there was like some specific type of cinnamon. I was like, oh, I can't get that here. That means I can't make it.
I feel like maybe sometimes we make excuses as well. We're like, oh, what a shame, I can't do that. So I would love to hear hear your sewing journey, because I don't know how you started sewing, and it's something that I find so interesting. I mean, you've got so many talents, there's so much to talk about, but yeah, let's start with the sewing. That would be wonderful.
Okay, let me think. So I did GCSE textiles at school, so I suppose I'd started sewing around, well, basically secondary school really, but I think in school I don't feel like they teach it in a way that makes it necessarily enjoyable. Well, because I don't know, maybe it's work. It feels like work in a way. So
yeah.
I was interested in it, and I remember I made a dress which was like a bias cut dress, in like a really silky fabric, and I was like, basically I was cutting it out, and it was just getting narrower and narrower because it was so hard to cut out. And then in the end, it was so narrow it didn't fit me basically. But, so one of my friends modelled it for me, but that was kind of my first journey.
That was your first dress. Yeah. I mean, poor you, starting with silk on the bias. That's not easy.
Well, I really should have suggested to me that maybe that wasn't the best thing. But you just basically just try things out and see what works. But then later on, I was like, I actually really want to learn properly, because I tried to make things myself, just improvising, but I didn't know about things like facings or like how zipped properly and all of that sort of thing. So when my son was a baby, I decided to do like an evening dressmaking course.
Lovely.
Son that's now 13. So I did that course, and it was I don't think that I necessarily learned lots of things from it, but I learned more about the sort of the terminology and how to do a pattern and those sorts of things, and fitting as well a little bit. So and then after that, I was mostly just doing more craft type sewing, like patchwork and things like that. And then occasionally I would do, I used to like the Japanese sewing pattern books. I don't know what harder than doing a standard pattern in a way, because you're trying to decipher the instructions. You have to trace the pattern, and
definitely jumping in at the deep end is a good idea. A
little bit. That I was like, okay, I'll just give that a try and see if it works. And sometimes if you try something that's a bit too hard and you can do it, then you're like, oh, that's most, you can do anything. Like you feel like you can do anything. And not everything always works out, but most of the time now I can get an idea of what I need to do to make things work, in terms of looking at the sizing and things like that, the fitting and things like that. So I mostly started sewing clothes more when it was the Moneta challenge. Do you remember that? Like,
yes, I do.
I can't remember what year. It was probably like,
that was pretty much the last time I properly sewed. I remember it well.
So I remember that was the first time I was like, oh, I'm going to do this and take photographs. And I remember I felt really silly taking photographs of myself, because I would never take a photo without the kids in or something like that. But and then that was basically the start of me more making things for myself and posting them on Instagram as well, because I used to use Flickr. I don't know if you remember.
I remember Flickr.
So I used to do Flickr, and then I used to like follow the blogs and things like that. But I think until Instagram came along, it was hard to find new people. So it was hard to find it was hard for people to find me, because I was like if you're posting on a blog, that you don't feel like anyone sees it particularly, and it's more about like the big bloggers kind of thing. So then gradually I started doing more and more things. So I did like different sew alongs and different challenges and things, like Me Made May and all of those things.
So I think that's what's really lovely about those sewing challenges, is we get to meet each other, and that's exactly, those people that put all those work into doing the challenges, like Zoe doing Me Made May and everything. It's all about bringing the community together, and it's so wonderful, isn't it? It's such a great way to start kind of spreading your wings in the sewing community, and everyone kind of really embraces it, and it's a really lovely way to start.
Definitely.
And what does your Moneta look like? Remind me.
I made mine, let me see, it was an art gallery fabric, and it was kind of like a navy and white cross kind of grid pattern. It's quite a graphic sort of print, and it was I actually wore it loads, and the only thing that was a bit wrong with it, which I realized afterwards, is I should have shortened the bodice a bit, so it was kind of hitting below my waist. So if I made it again, that's probably the only change that I would make. But I wore loads until I was like, oh, actually that's what's wrong with this dress.
Exactly the same with me. With the Moneta, I used to wear it a lot, and then I kind of realized, wait a sec, my waist is here, what am I doing? So it's obviously a bit of a common problem with that, but yeah, it's such a great pattern. It's lovely.
But somebody who's just said that they were the only ones who didn't look good in their Moneta dress. But
No,
well,
Smiley. I'm sure you look wonderful. So, okay, I would love to talk about your interiors, because every time I look at a picture of your house, I say that you just have the most beautiful design in your house. And is that all you? Is that something that you kind of sit down and plan and work out, or does it all come spontaneously? I'd love to know about, your way with that.
Well, when we first bought this house, we've had this house for about 6 years now. 6 years this month, actually. And when we first bought the house, it needed quite a lot of work, and we just kind of went with just making everything grey and white. Basically, it said my time limit was up for Instagram, apparently.
Oh no, it's fine. It should be fine. Hopefully, let me know if anything happens.
Yeah, anyway, so so then gradually I did put in a couple of bright wallpapers, like, do you know that green floral wallpaper in my daughter's room?
Yeah.
Everyone always quite likes that. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you fine. Is everyone else, can they hear and see everything okay? Is it all good?
I assume it's good. Anyway, and then and then I gradually started adding more colour in places. I was like, we had it's quite an old kitchen, and we didn't really have the chance to do anything with it yet. So I painted the kitchen, which was really, really hard work. Actually, it was like exhausting work. And then what to do? Oh, the front room, the room that we're in now, I just painted that the dark blue colour about I don't know when it was, a year or so ago. So it's just really a gradual process. It's not really like something that happened overnight, and there's probably more things that I want to do. I'll go back and do things that need redoing eventually. So I do use Pinterest quite a lot to make boards. So like now, if I'm going to do something new, I'll set up the Pinterest board and look for ideas for things that I want to put in, but it's not massively planned. Like when I was painting the pink fireplace, I was thinking I had like 2-3 colors, and I was like, okay, let's just go for this one.
Yeah, I love the pink fireplace. It was the right choice.
Yeah.
Oh well, honestly, I mean, so is it just you? Are you doing it all yourself, or with your husband, or how do you do it?
Well, I get my husband to help me with some things, but it's quite a slow process to get things done because he's busy. So like we had to get some wardrobes painted. I think it took us about 2 or 3 years to get to the point where they actually got done. So a majority of so like the kitchen I did, and the conservatory I did myself, and then there's a few bits and bobs that we've had done by sort of decorators.
It looks
when we first moved in. Yeah, when we first moved in, that was all done, but because it was all white and grey, it was like handprints and kids sort of like mess everywhere after a while. So I'm quite glad to get rid of the grubby.
I totally understand.
Like pale grey all over is just not me anymore at all. So.
Yeah. Oh well, it's so it's so vindictive of like colour. Whenever I think of Atia, I think of colour, and the seeing your backdrops in your house and the amazing colourful clothes you wear, it just brings so much joy. That's not a question. I just wanted to tell you make us smile so much. It's wonderful. So I kind of feel like you have so many talents. You're incredible at sewing, at knitting, at interiors. Is there anything you can't do?
I'm sure there's some things I can't do. Housework, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's fine.
There's a lot of things I want to still learn that I haven't quite got around to.
Go on then.
I suppose macrame is a thing that I wanted to pick up, and I bought I mean, you don't need a lot of stuff to do macrame, do you? So I got all I wanted to make a plant hanger, so I got all the bits and bobs that I got around to doing anything about it, and I'm sure it probably isn't too difficult to do a simple design. But yeah, I wanted to pick that up, and I always want to do more embroidery, like hand embroidery, but I just end up not choosing that when I'm, when you're sitting. I think it's because it's something a bit newer, so then you have to pick the skills. And quilting as well. Like I used to enjoy quilting quite a lot, but again, that's something that's fallen by the wayside a bit. So it's just picking those things up again a bit. Finding
the time, it's not easy. I do find that if you kind of the end of the day, you've had a really long day. Knitting is kind of the only thing I can pretty much manage, actually. And I keep thinking I'm going to do new skills, but when do you find the time? It's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that my time is really like a lot more limited than it used to be. I started doing a bit more work for my sort of my normal day job, and then there's other bits and pieces that come up, and obviously the kids as well. So I have to sort of just choose the things that I just want to do at that time, and just,
yeah.
I do find now that I've got a lot of clothes, and it's like almost to the point where it's a problem. So I need to actually maybe slow down with the clothes making and pick up some of the other crafts a bit more, especially like things like, you know, smaller crafts might be a good idea.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I kind of got to the point a few years ago where I was sewing so many clothes. I was just like, I don't have any room for this in the wardrobe. It was kind of crazy. I just had a pile of things that I'd made, and yeah, because it is pretty addictive, isn't it, when you start making your own clothes, and you kind of don't really think about the space that they could live in, but at least you're turning fabric, which does take up a bit more room, into clothing. So
Yeah,
I see that as a very important step.
Yeah. And also I feel like say things like quilts and things, you know, things that are going to last quite a long time, it's sometimes worthwhile just taking your time over those, and then you've got something really beautiful which then hopefully can be passed on over time. And I actually quite like sewing well, I haven't been doing a lot of sewing for my children, but I'm planning to do more, because I've got quite into children's fashion, and like I get a lot of sponsored posts on my Instagram stories of very nice children's clothes which would cost a fortune to buy. So I really want to spend some time making the kids' clothes really nice this year, because I used to make more of their clothes a few years ago, and then I just like, because they grow out them so quick, I was like, what bother with this?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like,
yeah,
well, if I make it, you'll be grown out of it by the time you put it on.
yeah, exactly. But I think they don't grow out things quite so much when they're this age compared to when they're really small. So it can be like, they can last long enough to make it worthwhile. And say Nora, with her dresses, she really likes them. Like she wore the Alice dress basically the next like 2-3 days after work.
I love it.
So it's quite nice to when things are appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. And is she showing any kind of sign of wanting to do crafting and stuff as well?
Yeah, she's really interested actually. She's just picked up knitting. So she just learned that a few months ago, and I recently made a garter stitch jumper. The navy, it's like a dark blue sort of color, and she helped me do some of the stitching. So like, I would do the purl row, and then she'd do the knit row. And I think she's kind of got the hang of the purl as well. So but the lace jumper I'm knitting now, she keeps wanting to have a go, and I'm like, no, you're not gonna mess up my purl 3 together, you know, like. So I'm not unpicking that in mohair afterwards if it all falls apart.
Real nightmare. Oh wow, well, I'm always so impressed at how tiny your knitting is actually. Like, what size, just out of interest, what size needles do you tend to use?
Oh, I don't tend to go smaller than 4mm usually.
All right, that's doable.
So that one, I can't remember what, I think that was 4.5 or 5mm, so it wasn't like super tiny. And and even this one that I'm making now, the lace one, it looks really delicate, but that's also on 5mm needles, because it's lace, you can go a bit bigger on the needle size. So yeah, I try and avoid doing really tiny work, because it just it takes too long.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I also find it hard on my hands as well, like the kind of really fine work. So because I do want to try and knit more socks, so but I just don't enjoy it as much as the bigger stitches.
Yeah.
I recently got the 52 Weeks of Socks book. Have you seen that one?
Oh yes, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really pretty book, and I realized it was kind of going out of stock in the hardback, and I really wanted the hardback, so I just like got that one quickly before although I cannot imagine knitting a pair of socks in a week. That would,
yeah, that does sound true.
I think the last
for
pair
people
of socks,
with a lot more time.
Yeah, the last pair of socks I finished, I think it took me 4 years from beginning to end. So that's not, I mean, I could probably go a bit faster than that, but I don't think it's going to be particularly
No,
fast.
I think in one of my knitting bags somewhere, I have a half sock that it didn't quite grab me as much as I thought it would, actually, because I'm pretty similar. I like to make big things, basically, and whenever it's the little things, I'm like, yeah, I can do this, and then after a while, I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm gonna give that up for a bit. But yeah, it's so. What are you knitting at the moment then? Is it the pom pom mag?
Yeah, so I'm knitting that one at the moment. That's the main thing. I've got a couple of more sort of hibernating at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few which are, it's kind of nice when you get to the point where they're almost about to be finished, and then you've left it for a while, and then you just pick it up and then it's done, and like,
Yeah,
and then within a few weeks you've suddenly made loads of things, and people are like, how did you do it? It's actually because most of the work was done like, you know, a year ago or something.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, but the pom pom, that issue that I'm making the pattern from is such a beautiful issue, and the yarn is like a silk mohair, so it's quite hard to work with because you have to do a purl 3 together that I mentioned before, and that is not that fun in
yeah, that's really hard. Yeah. I mean, especially in mohair, because it's such like I always struggle with, I've only knit with mohair once, but it was really hard to even see where the stitches are. Like I kept picking up things that weren't the stitches, and so yeah, a purl 3 together doesn't sound easy.
But it's quite good because
sorry, go.
No, I was just saying that you do the purl 3 together horrible row, and then you've got just a knit row, so then it makes it less painful.
Love those knit rows. But I was going to say, you're actually, the Uncut podcast that you're a part of is giving away that magazine.
Yeah, we are. So. Yeah. So they kindly offered us a copy of the issue, and it looks like lots of people are interested in it, so that's good.
Yeah, so everyone join the giveaway. I'm going to do that after this as well. And I was listening to your podcast actually while I was getting ready for doing this, and it's been such a. I mean, I adore your podcast. For anyone that doesn't know, Atia is part of the Uncut podcast with Alice and Juliet. And yeah, how did that start? Did you guys know each other before in real life, or how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, we only really knew each other because of the sewing community on Instagram. So I think we'd met a couple of times at various events, and we also organised a South London meetup ages ago. This is before the pandemic, and so I think it was Juliet maybe that suggested at first that we should do that, and because obviously it was lockdown, then we thought, oh, we can't really do it now because we couldn't meet up, and then Alice moved away, and then we thought, okay, how are we going to actually do this? And then we just decided just to go for it online. And I think also because everybody was not able to meet their sewing friends in real life at that time, it was quite popular, like from the beginning. Like, we were surprised how much that people were interested in it. So yeah, it's been really good actually. We've really enjoyed it, and we're going to be finished. We've just finished the season. I don't know which one you listened to. Maybe it was the last one.
The last one. Yeah.
So we're really kind of wanting to step things up next season and have lots of guests and everything. So we're really looking forward to doing some new things. If anyone's got any ideas for us, then we're always welcome to share.
Oh, well, I love the interview with Anna as well. Sorry, I've got such a frog in my throat. With Anna Kokawawa, that was such a lovely episode.
Yeah, it was really nice
to hear.
Yeah, it's not, and also I feel like she's one of the people that got me into sewing as well. So, and as in the sewing community. So I remember when they had the London Stitchers meetup, and she messaged me like herself to say you should come along and like encourage me, because I didn't really know anybody, so I just felt like I would feel awkward or something. So, but then she was really encouraging, so that was really helpful. And then we always meant to meet up again in real life, because I think she had a knitting group or something that she used to go to. And then it just never happened, and then sadly now she's moved away. But hopefully she'll be back again at some point.
Yeah, no, she is going to be back for like a week in a couple of months. So I hope we'll get to see her then. I used to be a part of her knitting group, although I didn't make it nearly enough time. But I miss her so much. She's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. She's just so lovely.
Yeah, it's really cute.
But does anyone have any questions? Hey, I love that small smiley thing interview.
I don't know if I can see. Have there been any more comments? But I can't see any more.
Yeah, I always miss them because they only show you 2 at a time and they just go so quickly.
Yeah.
But does anyone have any questions for Atia? That would be really, really lovely. But yeah, I told you it goes quickly. It's so fast. I'm going to check if I. Oh, okay. Just a little thing. Taking off shellac. Did you get any tips on that?
Oh, that was so bad. It took me it took an hour and a half to put it on, and it took an hour and a half to take it off again. Yeah. So
oh, this.
And then left my fingers in the acetone for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, and then got a little bit off, and then did it again, and then got a little bit off. So it wasn't the most fun, to be honest, but it was very pretty, so it was worth it.
I know, and they are beautiful. Your nails were so beautiful. It's really sad, isn't it, when you're like, I've got to take this off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to the point where like one is missed. Yeah, it's really bad. I need to sort it out. So I will take your tips and do that. Oh, Purple Sewing Cloud, hello. Says favorite fabric shops. That's a good question.
Oh, okay. So, well, let me think. So I've got Sew Me Sunshine, Simply Fabrics, System and Tacker.
Oh, where's Simply Fabrics? Is that Brixton?
Yeah, it's Brixton. It's basically my greatest weakness is that I can just get on the train like directly to Simply Fabrics and just go and have a browse. But they also do really good sales. If you sign up, then they do every so often a 20% off thing. So it's quite worthwhile to.
Oh, I need to add that to my list.
Yeah. Where else? Oh, I've just recently, for the first time, gone to Blackbird Fabrics and placed an order. Just because slightly worried about the customs charges.
Yeah.
Basically, they have this. They've got these new labels, which you might have seen around. They're really pretty, colourful labels. So I was like, okay, I'll get some of those. And then they had this really nice colourful linen, like a check linen in different colours. So I got some of that with no brand yet. But it sold out once, and then it came back on. And I was like, okay, I'm not missing this time.
Yeah, they always sell out, don't they, Blackbird? I'm always, I'm like, oh, I love that, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on the custom charges because, I hear they can be a little bit stingy.
Yeah, I mean, the postage was really reasonable, so hopefully that will kind of offset it a little bit.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, but there's so many good fabric shops.
I've missed who said this, but if you had one sewing tool to choose from, what would you take? Oh,
I really like using my snips at the moment. So I've got the LDH snips, and I didn't have any before that at all, and they really revolutionized my finishing because I would always have like these little loose dangly threads. So like, oh, I must cut that one. But since I've had the snips, it's quite easy to just go around and like fix them all up at the end. So yeah, and just things like snipping curves and all of that. So
they're good for notches as well, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really good. And what else? Yeah, that's probably the most useful one. And then unpicker, obviously. I'm sure.
We've all got to have a good unpicker. I have so many. Oh, that was so do it, Emma. Yeah, snips are awesome. They really are. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. I wanted to say good luck with your gardening for spring because I know you've got some seeds growing and lots of lovely things, and I love seeing how you get on with that.
Oh, okay, thank you. I've got a few bulbs coming up, but not that many because the squirrels have been at them. But yeah, hopefully it'll start growing soon.
Oh, pesky squirrels! Well, I hope they stay away.
Yes.
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you dislike refretting your overlocker? That's a good question.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, the overlocker. Well, I would basically just do the thing where you knot the thread at the top, and then you like pull it through. So 80% of the time, I can get away with doing that. But then if you've got a thread breaking or something, then I would say, so dislike, I'd probably say 9 out of 10. Yeah,
me too. I used to do the whole knot thing, but I didn't realize that you had to then kind of manually pull them through because I would just start then sewing and be like, why didn't that work? So if anyone's struggling with that, by the way, pull them all through. It makes a massive difference.
And I didn't know until quite recently that if you rethread I can't remember the top. You have to do either the top or the bottom ones first, otherwise it doesn't work. Even if you redo it like hundreds of times, there's an order that you have to do it in. Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing I learned not too long ago.
Yeah. Oh, well, good tip. Thank you for that. Okay, well, I think we should wrap up. Is there anything you want to say, anything you want to plug, or, you know?
Not at the moment. There's going to be a couple of features that I'm doing soon for magazines, which I'm quite excited to share. So, yeah, look out for those. And yeah, it's just, if you're not already following me, then just join along, and hopefully I'll share some new things as well soon.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll make sure I link massively to you as well. Thank you so much, Atia. It's been really, really lovely.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful catching up and hearing all your news and everything. And have a lovely rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too.
And thank you, everyone. Oh, and huge thank you to Rainbow Fabrics. They're amazing. Thank you for sponsoring us.
Yeah, I love Rainbow Fabrics as well. We should probably have said that as well.
Really, I mean, that's addictive. That shop is really a problem for me. I'm like, I'm on a fabric fan apart from Rainbow Fabrics at the moment. Yeah, but they've just had a new drop, viscose. They're absolutely stunning and already selling out really quickly as always. So yeah, get on that. But yeah, just thank you all so much for joining us and for your lovely questions. Next week I'm back with Elisa Lex, so that will be wonderful. And yeah, lots and lots of love. Thank you again, Atia.
Okay, take care then. Bye.